Hi everyone, and welcome to our fourth webinar on the subject of extended producer responsibility, but in particular the recyclability assessment requirements. And in this session today, we're going to give you a brief overview on how your recyclability assessments under extended producer responsibility are going to affect what you're charged going forward. So, in previous webinars, we've covered how these recyclability assessments are now required to be undertaken on every packaging component that's household packaging and reported every 6 months, with the first deadline being the 1st of October, but which has been given some leeway now with the publishing of the regulatory position statement, giving organisations the option to delay their first submissions until the 1st of April 2026. So these assessments are required to be completed against the Recyclability Assessment Methodology, the RAM, rating every packaging component as either red, amber or green. And it's the results of these assessments that will affect the disposal fees that will be required to be paid via the fee modulation process. And we're going to go through that now. So the aim of how the fees are being applied is ultimately to drive a shift towards the use of more recyclable packaging. So in year one of the scheme, that being 25 to 26, the disposal fees will be based solely on published based fees, and those have been published already. And the results of your recyclability assessments won't affect what you pay from that first year. But from year two of the scheme, being 26-27, the disposal fees will be based on the base fees modulated depending on the results of your recyclability assessments. So if we put it simply, from year two, companies that have a red recyclability assessment are going to be charged more than those that have a green. So the base fees for year one, as we've already said, have been published, and the fees paid by the producers will be covering the administrative costs and provide local authorities with additional income to cover the cost of recycling and disposal of these waste packaging materials. But it's important to note that the base fees won't be covering the registration fees and the charges paid to the regulator, nor do they cover the costs associated with meeting the packaging recycling targets through the purchase of your PRNs. Those costs are above and beyond these fees. The base fees have been calculated from packaging tonnage data that has already been submitted by producers for the full 2024 period, and they cover the total local authority disposal costs that need to be recovered through extended producer responsibility for packaging in 2025 to 2026. So these are the fees that have been published and that will be charged in year one per tonne of material. You can see there's a different value dependent on the material type, ranging from approximately £200 per tonne to nearly £460 per tonne. And you can see that items in fibre-based composite and plastic are those that are going to be facing the highest fees. From year two and each year thereafter, the fees will be modulated. So each year, the base fees per material will be calculated and published based on the packaging data that has been supplied in the previous year. And for packaging with an amber risk assessment, the base fees will be charged unchanged. But packaging with a red risk assessment will be charged more, and those with a green risk assessment will be charged less. So fees for the red risk assessed materials will be calculated by the modulation factor, and the modulation factors for 2026 through to 2028 have already been published by the administrator, PAC UK. And these are the modulation factors that have been published for the next 3 years of the scheme. As you can see, they are gradually increasing year by year, starting off with a 1.2 multiplication, gradually increasing to 2 by 2028. Now, we've already mentioned that the base fees for year two onwards can only be calculated and published once the full year's data has been submitted. And that is not yet available for 2025, so we can't know the exact impact. However, if we were to apply the modulation factor for 2026 to the 2025 base fees, we can get an idea of the different costs for different recyclability assessment results. So on the slide here, the amber rating would get charged the standard base fee, but a red rating will get charged in the region of this, which is the base fee multiplied by the 1.2 modulation factor. And by year 4, with a modulation factor of 2, you can see how a reg rating can start to get very expensive. So the additional funds that will be raised by the application of the modulation factor to the household packaging waste disposal fee for each tonne of reg-rated packaging material will form a pot of money for redistribution. And this redistribution pot will be used to apply a lower household packaging waste disposal fee for those materials that are green rated. So each tonne of green material across all of the material categories will receive an equal percentage discount on its household packaging waste disposal fee. And what this aims to do is to reduce the risk of switching to less environmentally sustainable materials. As you can see, having read recyclability assessments is going to start to get costly. We've turned these complex requirements for the recyclability assessments into a very simple, step-by-step, user-friendly process that retains your records and generates the results for you. And it helps you to identify where the recyclability is not scoring very well, so you can see how you can improve and how you can reduce the costs that you might be charged in the future. The tool will also help you revisit and quickly update your assessments, so when changes to the RAM occur, when changes to your packaging or your products occur. And the tool retains the records for you to back up your assessments, thereby providing a central location if and when your staff changes happen. So our tool will do all that for you, and we're offering it very competitively because our mission is to simplify the complexity for everybody's benefit. So thank you all for listening today. I hope you've gained an overview of these requirements, which was our aim. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us and I'll answer them as best I can. Please come back to our page for future instalments of these briefs. And please don't hesitate to get in touch via email if you'd like a demo of our new tool. Thanks again and have a great day.